Hello, my friend. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jaden, and this is PathTune, where we are charting a course towards the shores of your higher potential. On this channel, this is ultimately about how to change and evolve your vibrational frequency over time to match the frequency of your highest and best life path. We do have the power to change where we end up, and you can experience a better future simply by changing yourself and tuning to your highest potential. This channel is all about sharing the information, ideas, and perspectives that will help you create your own personal symphony of health, wealth, love, and happiness, fulfillment, and freedom with the unique ratios of what's important to you. So if that sparks your interest, please consider subscribing and coming along as we explore the path of self-discovery with the intention of using this valuable information and ideas that we learn to better ourselves and our lives in some way. See, the thing is that this is about using a variety of ideas from different sources to our advantage to craft a diverse, balanced perspective for yourself. This allows you to make the best, most aligned decisions for yourself and build your level of personal awareness. Then, you can use this outlook to better and harness the power of your own inner creative genius, which we all have. So if that all sounds interesting to you, I invite you to come along on the journey of your own self-discovery. Thanks for letting me read that. I will memorize that and probably shorten it a little bit. But it gives you the idea of what we're going for here on this channel of PathTune. In this video, we will be discussing the topic of manifesting from your heart versus manifesting from your mind. It's a powerful one. So if that interests you, I invite you to hang out with me here, and we'll just go over a few things, some key distinctions between those two perspectives, and then how you can use that information and that new perspective that you generate through watching this video and getting these ideas, using that to your advantage moving forward as you continue to manifest your desires into reality as the creator you are. So to start this off, I got something new, and I want to show you. I would like to clear the space using some frequency. And in past videos, I have done the bowl, the singing bowl. But this is awesome, and it's new, and it's shiny, and I want to try it. So I'm going to ring these bells together 3 times. These are made in Nepal. Originally, I think the design it's like a Tibetan design. It's for like Tibetan rituals and such. I need to research more about that. But just a warning, there's going to be 3 loud sounds as we clear the space. So let us begin. That was a loud one. Take a deep breath, settle in with me, and let's let the magic happen. So, let's bring out our handy dandy notebook and let's go for a ride, shall we? Hello. So, we have manifesting from the heart versus the mind. Okay? So, the mind is a great asset. It's a great tool. But the mind can also create illusions. It can create distortions of your reality. It's a gift and a curse. It's a double-edged sword. It's all about how you can make your mind work for you and tune it and not let it run the show all the time. You use your mind, rather it use you. And the heart, these are connected, right? We're one being, and everything about us is connected. But let's go back here for a second. One idea, when I'm going to do another video about this, but the the conscious mind tends to be wrapped up in the concept of our ego. And one distinction I want to make is that your ego is not your enemy. In a lot of the New Age content, especially the more spiritually oriented content, and I assume you have consumed some of that content if you're here, a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this myself in the past, and so this is a newer perspective. It's an evolved perspective from what I have previously thought, but the ego is not your enemy. The ego does not need to be demonized. Oh, my ego's problems. It's good to make the distinction of, is this coming from my ego? Is this coming from a place of fear? Or is my ego trying to protect me? Am I projecting something because of my hurt ego? Excuse me. That's all good to be aware of, right? But you don't need to look at your ego as something negative or bad, because your ego is a gift. Your ego is your protector. Your ego gives you the ability to have this experience we call life on Earth as a human. If you didn't have an ego, you wouldn't have an individual personality. And that's what you're here to experience, is the separation, is the limitation, is the unique individualization of having an ego. So an ego can be good. It's good because it gives you this experience. It gives you likes and dislikes. It gives you a personality. It gives you a character, and you need a character in order to play the game. And this game is not a trivial game. It's the most important game. Should not be taken lightly. But it should not also be taken too seriously. Because, whoa, come on, dude. Because balance is the key to life. Take it seriously, but not too seriously. I want it hot, but not too hot. I was trying to reference Little Red Riding Hood, but didn't quite execute as well as I thought I was going to. Anyway, so balance is just a consistent theme that you'll hear me talk about a lot, because it really is a great anchor to always refer back to it. Like, running things through the lens of balance will help you make decisions, in my opinion, from what I've learned. It's a great tool. If you're ever working on something, you want to try to make a decision, run it through the lens of balance. Yeah. So it's not like the heart it's not or one or the other. It's both. You have a heart and you have a mind, right? So we're talking about the conscious ego. The conscious mind and the ego tend to be, I'll write it out. Conscious mind and the ego tend to be looped up in the same boat. If we take the Freudian approach, there's the ego, the id, and the superego. The id, we'll just write this, ego, well, let's write it in order. And thanks for being here with me, by the way. Id, ego, super ego, or super conscious. The conscious mind tends to be with the ego. The id is more of your primal nature, your more animalistic human nature of primal desires and the need to survive. So that loops in with your conscious and your subconscious. Now, I would personally say, and honestly, I haven't ever really seen a framework that's relating these two things before, but I'm just kind of doing this on the spot and it seems to make sense. So we're going with it. Let me know if you think what you think about this and if you have any edits to this you would think. But maybe the id would go in the middle because it affects both the conscious and the subconscious. But your superego is your connection to the divine intelligence of all that you are, of your higher self and the rest of the cosmos and the source in the universe. So your id affects your being as you are here as a human, but the human has both of these, including that one. And the subconscious and your superego tend to be more on the right brain. And then your conscious and your ego tend to be more on your left brain. And by the way, one thing to remember is that you use all of your brain. Okay? You use both sides of your brain. When they say that you're more left or right brained, it's, in my opinion, more of a concept to describe a personality trait rather than describing the physical hardware of the brain. Yes, certain characteristics can be correlated with sides of the brain. I'm not discounting that, but it doesn't go to the extent of like I'm only really using my right brain here when I'm doing this, or I'm only using my left brain. Like, you use all of your brain. Your brain is a cohesive, synergistic supercomputer. But these concepts help us to understand ourselves. And that's what we're here for, because the better you understand yourself, the more you can make aligned decisions with what you really want and not let things that are in your, say, subconscious affect you negatively from doing what your conscious really wants to do. Now, you got to make your ego work for you. And it doesn't have to be your slave, but you do need to keep it on a little bit of a rope, on a leash. You have to be aware. It all starts with self-awareness, because if you let your ego get overinflated or out of control, then you begin acting only from your ego, and then you think that all your thoughts are your thoughts, like they're yours, when the other perspective is to balance that, right? Balancing it is realizing that you are not your thoughts, and to start observing your thoughts and noticing where those thoughts are coming from. Are they coming from a place of fear? Are they coming from a place of hurt? And then that can bring you back to your ego, because your ego may have been hurt in the past and it's getting triggered. Okay? But now let's talk about the heart. In the last video, I talked a little bit about the heart. And I'm trying to remember exactly what I was saying. I was talking about opening your heart, and I mentioned the topic of being in love, and that's being in the frequency of love. And I also mentioned how the heart is the center of your energy centers. Got this, the different energy centers in your body, and your heart is the synergizer, the balance point. The heart is the balance. We may as well just draw a line that looks bad. But we must do it. We must do it. Let's bring it back. We must connect the heart and balance, because those guys are really connected. All right? The heart is the center energy system of your body. And when your heart center is blocked, restricted, it disrupts the flow of the whole system, including your intuition. Your heart, there's different perspectives on intuition. Some believe the intuition comes from your mind's eye. Others believe your intuition comes from your solar plexus, like the gut, the second brain, aka the second brain. We'll go into different perspectives on that in future videos. But the point is that when you are having your heart center open, which starts with learning how to unconditionally love yourself, you are in flow. You are more aligned as a being. You are sending a clear signal. You are sending a more clear signal than you would otherwise to the quantum unified field. So the difference between manifesting from your heart and manifesting from your mind comes down to alignment with your true self. Let's move on, shall we? Not move on from this topic, but let's go to a new page. So, the mind, and then the heart. So the heart is connected to your divine higher self. And the mind, as we said before, is connected more so. See, I need to preface that because they're both connected to everything. Everything, all the cells talk to all the cells. So everything is connected. Don't make the mistake of thinking one thing doesn't affect another thing. Everything affects everything else. Everything you do affects everything else. How you do one thing affects how you do other things. That's something I learned from Jim Rohn. Mind connected more so to the ego. Okay? I've heard a phrase once where the first step in awakening is realizing you have more than one voice in your head. No, you're not schizophrenic. Recognizing that you have more than one voice in your head is recognizing that there are different intelligence sources within your own being. You are not just one-dimensional. You have multiple sources of energy and information coming to you from different places. Okay? Something to remember. It can come from your mind. It can come outside your mind. You're picking up on something. You're tuning in. It can come from your heart. It can come from your gut. All right? So, when you're manifesting with the mind, say you're focusing on a certain desire you have, a certain topic of interest. What does the mind want? Or what does the ego want? Validation, acceptance, belonging, and then even on the shadow side, or the not necessarily as a beneficial side, I mean, it's all perspective, right? You can use power for good or evil. But power, influence, control, freedom, that's a paradox, isn't it? It's like the mind wants to be free, but the mind also wants control. And that's that paradoxical nature of reality in your mind. And what's ironic is that some things like discipline and structure is what actually gives you freedom. Because when we have too much freedom, it becomes overwhelming with the options, and then we can't focus our energy. But when we create a structure for ourselves to work into, and we create a box, then we have a stream. We can direct our energy towards a certain frame, and then that allows creativity to happen. But when you don't channel your creativity, which is connected to your expansive, non-limited self, if you don't give it a channel, then it becomes difficult to harness. So that's where overcoming a creative block, one of the best ways to start to harness your creativity is to give yourself limitations, at least in working with an idea, in creating something. It's just an interesting concept. It kind of plays on the idea of the as above, so below, the paradoxical nature of reality. Ironically, give yourself some limitations and you'll find your creativity flourishes. It's just interesting. It's very interesting. So, anyway, we're getting off on a little tangent there, but the heart is connected to is more so connected or more in resonance with your true nature, your inner being, your higher self, or your superconscious. And your subconscious is like a vast ocean. It's a depth of unexplored wonder is your subconscious. So it makes sense that a lot of our essence of our true being can be accessed in that subconscious, in the unconscious nature, because the conscious mind is like the box. And then the unconscious is pretty expansive, pretty limitless. I would draw a circle, but it's almost like a non-finite circle. Anyway, when you're manifesting from the mind, it can become limiting because your mind is limited. Your mind is limited. And your heart is unlimited. Energetically speaking, spiritually speaking. Anything physical is limitation. But your mind works in frameworks and schemas and modalities of conceptualizing and putting things in a box. The mind likes to label and categorize and put things into boxes. So when we try to think of something as expansive as the limitless potential that you have of your future, when you try to put your mind to start imagining things, which visualization is good, but it often will come greater than you could possibly imagine. And the reason for that is that the mind is limited. The mind can only conceive what it knows to be true or what it knows to exist. And yes, if you can imagine it, it is possible because the mind is an instrument of limitation. So if you can imagine it in your mind, that means that it is within reach, basically, because your mind is a limited instrument. But when you are manifesting with the mind, you can also run into some problems because it can't conceive the guiding principle of synchronicity and how that magnetic nature of manifestation, of the forces beyond yourself that you are still connected to, but it's not your egoic self, it's not your conscious self. So your conscious mind can't conceptualize all of the synchronistic ways and all the magical ways that something could happen and the way something could look. So when we have a desire and we put that desire into a box and we say it needs to be this way and it needs to be that way and it needs to have these characteristics, in my opinion, the purpose of listing these things out is to connect to the frequency of your desire. That's the purpose of getting clear, and that's the purpose of visualizing. The visualization, I'll just go give us a little more room. The visualization allows you to get the feeling. And the details of that visualization and the details that you might write down with the mind is getting you to be able to tap in to the core frequency of the desire, of the desired result, of your manifestation. So these things are good. I'm not saying not to write down what you want to manifest, and I'm not saying not to visualize it. That is great things to do. But there is a limitation with that, like I said, because it is in the box of the mind. So bring back the lens of balance. It's like identify, create the target, connect to the frequency of that target using the visualization to generate a feeling. And our emotions are the amplification of our electric thought that has electrically charged something that you want to manifest. Now you increase the amplitude of the channel of information that is latching on to that and then going to start attracting it into you. So it is crucial to feel, and feeling is directly associated or directly linked to our heart. Our mind does make our body feel things. Like I said, everything's connected. But we're covering those grounds, right? We got visualization, we got the identify the details, but that's in the mind. The feeling is an important part of the reason for doing that visualization, because although you might want to specify, yes, I want a red Ferrari and I want it to have leather seats and I want to have this many miles, and when I sit in it, I want to be able to smell this, and I want to be able to drive and see the ocean right here, and getting all those details, you're connecting with the frequency of that result. Now you've targeted it. Now you need to project your heart into that and bring in the emotion, because the emotion powers the intention behind the electric thought. The emotion brings the magnetic nature into it that then starts to magnetize that and yourself to start to bring those two together. So it's really like they're both linked together, right? Like we need both our mind and our heart to manifest. But which one is more dominant in what you're doing? If you're manifesting from your heart, now, manifesting from the heart is manifesting something that is truly aligned with your core soul frequency. Okay? That's the big thing with manifest. And these are concepts, right? These are concepts to help you understand. But everything works together. I'm just going to keep beating that drum so that we drill that in. It's not this or that. It's this and this and this and this. It all works together and we're dancing to the flow of life. All right. So manifesting from your heart is from the perspective of doing something that is, or targeting something, manifesting something that is aligned with your heart. It is aligned with what truly brings you joy, wonder, love, inner child, happiness, right? The mind might be more about this stuff and the money, because it thinks that you need the money because money is going to get you maybe some of this stuff. But the heart wants connection, which is related to like acceptance and belonging. But like I literally have never built out this framework before. So I'm just doing this on the fly. So I appreciate the grace that this is not perfect, but hopefully you receive value from this. And if you're liking this video, I encourage you to drop a comment relating to what resonates with you the most. I invite you to subscribe so you can be notified for future videos. And I really just appreciate you being here. But let's finish out the heart, all right? So the heart is connected to your inner being, and it's more in resonance with your true core soul frequency. So when you're manifesting with an open heart, and although you have the mind still there, but say you're manifesting with a closed heart center, now you might run into issues because you might get your manifestation and then you don't get any fulfillment from it because it's not really aligned with you in your heart. So manifesting from the heart gives you the opportunity to manifest something into existence that will really be in resonance of what your true purpose and core self, your inner self, desires and what you're really here for. And that's what we want, right? We want the fulfillment and the happiness and the joy. But the thing is, one thing to remember is that happiness is fleeting. This life is up and down. So if you're chasing something like happiness, you need to realize that it's kind of a futile desire because you can't be happy all the time. Because if you were happy all the time, it would stop being happiness. Does that make sense? That just goes down to the two sides of the coin. I wish I had a coin here nearby. You need the opposite of happiness in order to have happiness. Just like you need darkness in order to have light. You need to have, at least in this dimension of polarity and duality, you need to have its opposite for the other side of it to even exist, because it needs the separation of the comparison, of the contrast, in order to separate it from its continuum of connection, because everything is connected as one on a higher level. So if you're chasing happiness and you want to be happy all the time, it's not a real thing, because being happy all the time would then just be one level of mediocrity, pretty much, yeah, of mediocre. Happy, 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 happy. Then it stops being happy because there's no ups and downs, because there's nothing else to compare it to. So it's just existence. It's just being. And that's what it is on a higher level. But we get the opportunity to experience joy and happiness because we also get the opportunity to experience the lows. I should be explaining this with visuals, huh? we get to experience happiness and say sadness is its polar opposite. These are both connected and one and the same, of the same coin. And we go like this. So then, and sometimes we might go higher or lower, right? So maybe sometimes we go way up and then we go way down. And that's life for you, man or woman. It's life. And that's part of the journey. That's why we're here, so that we can experience the lows, which gives you the opportunity through the contrast to then feel what it's like on the high. If you never are willing to experience the low, you will not be able to experience the high, because there is no comparisons. And if you're always on the high, you're always up here, it just feels normal. Just feels like every day, yeah. So it stops being as valuable. All right. So does that make sense? Why happiness isn't really doesn't make sense for it to be a goal, because it's not a consistent thing. So, and if you actually got what your ego conscious mind thinks that it wants by getting happiness all the time, it might actually become depressing. That's another ironic thing. Anyway, so when you're manifesting with an open heart, it's connected to your true core soul frequency, your inner self. And then that will bring things in, and you're still using your mind, right? We connected both of these. But when you have the open heart, which is crucial for manifesting something that is aligned with you, because then it will come in such a way that is in alignment. And when it's in alignment, it will have longevity. When it's in alignment, it will have longevity. And it will also bring more fulfillment. What else? Yeah. Manifesting from the heart is also tapping in to the quantum multidimensional nature of your heart. Whereas your mind, as it's rooted in the ego, it's more in resonance with this physical dimension. Although it does go up to the mental sphere, which is imagination and all that, your heart is boundless. Your heart is multidimensional. Your heart is connected to love, the feeling of love, which is one of the highest frequencies, along with authenticity. And love is the frequency that is nearly the most resonant with your higher self and the source of all, the Most High. So when you're manifesting with an open heart and a healed heart, and it takes the healing in order to have it be open, when you're manifesting from that space of trust and unconditional love, you won't necessarily judge what happens as deeply. You won't get disrupted by the anger or disappointment, because you're in the flow. You're in the trust of the higher order of the way reality is unfolding for you, because you're tapped in, because you're in communication with the divine, with your divine self. And that heart is the portal that allows that channel to flow. Yeah. So there's more on this. And if you have any more ideas on this, please drop them in the comments. Let me know what you think of this concept, and let me know what you think of the video. I actually like this. Didn't really expect all that to come out, but that was pretty cool. I liked this. I enjoyed that. So let's see what else we got. Yeah. It was my opportunity to serve you today, and thank you for letting me serve you with this message. Like I said before, please like, share, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. If you share it with somebody who you think can find value in this, then we can extend our reach and build this community of like-minded individuals who are on this path of self-discovery. And if you subscribe, you can be notified on future videos that may give you an idea that could really change everything around for you. And all it takes is one idea to do that. So thank you for being here with me. Thank you for tuning in. And I'll see you on the next video.